Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on YouTube, the John Campea Show. I am your host today, Robert Meyer Burnett, because John Campea is exhausted traveling the highways and byways of the land, and who can blame him? He's driven halfway across the United States in like 3 or 4 days. Incredible for a Canadian. But I'm here with producer Jonathan Voico. Jonathan, how are you today?
I'm doing all right. We're all remote today, you know.
We are remote today.
Some of us are here, some of us aren't, but we are all remote today.
We are all remote today. Sometimes I feel I'm remote in my own life. Maybe that would be better. Turn control to somebody else. But we have a lot of good. This is going to be a great show. You know how much when they unleash us, when they let us off the leash, we have fun, and the viewers have even more fun. We're not as buttoned up.
Nope, we're gonna have fun today.
And what do we got? What's going on? What do we have? What do we have?
First off, I just want to let you guys know super chats are open. We'll be addressing super chats in a little while. Also, if you can't catch us on YouTube, I just want to share that you guys can also catch us on your various streaming podcast apps like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever. So feel free to go ahead and join us over there too. So without any further ado, we'll kick off with our first topic, and that is Pluribus, Rob. Pluribus. Now, I'm not too familiar with this series, but you are, and it seems that they have set new viewership records over at Apple TV.
I got to tell you, so this is the new series from Vince Gilligan, who really cut his teeth on the X-Files back in the 90s. He obviously created two of the greatest TV shows of all time, Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Better Call Saul may be one of the, along with Andor, one of the greatest prequels we've ever seen on television. He has created a new show called Pluribus, and it stars Rhea Seaborn as Carol. And what has happened in this show, it's all set in, well, it's not just all set in New Mexico. It looks like it's set all over the world, actually. What has happened, Jonathan, is we have received a signal from 600 million light years away. And that signal turned out to be the scientists that were trying to decode it realized it was an RNA sequence. Oh. And perhaps unadvisedly, they created it in the lab and it escaped and it took over all of humanity. And all of humanity has been joined into one hive mind, except for 12 people that were immune. And Carol is one of them. Mm-hmm. And she is a lesbian romance author who was married, but her wife was lost in the transition along with 800 million other human beings. And now Carol has to try and save the world. How can a romance writer who's suffering from enormous grief fight off what is essentially a science-born alien invasion, or is it? What's going on? We don't know. Episode 4 aired last night, and Carol has been probing this hive mind to see what works. And of course, the hive mind is killing her with kindness. They want to do everything they can to make her happy. They say it's a biological imperative not to hurt any life. They've let all the animals out of the zoo. They will not hunt for food. They will not harm anybody. And they're trying to provide for Carol's every need. And she's trying to maneuver or navigate a way around, can she save humanity? Does she want to save humanity? I mean, she does, but will the hive mind beat her to the punch? Will they figure out why she's immune and infect her and the other 12 people that are immune before they figure out a way to change things? And surprise. Well, I don't want to spoil any of the surprises.
Sure.
The show is incredibly compelling. And if you are a veteran of, well, as I am, if you're an imagination connoisseur for your life, you've seen many alien invasion shows. I read or watched a really interesting theory video. There's more theory videos about Pluribus in the last 4 weeks than I've seen about than hate videos of The Acolyte. I mean, it's incredible. Pluribus
is incredible.
It's captured the imaginations of the world.
Yeah,
I love
imagination rules the day instead of like hating on something. That is pretty impressive.
It's really great. The show's incredible. I find it. Look, a lot of people are going to find it deliberately paced, and it is taking its time to unfold what's going on, and there is a mystery box element to it.
Sure.
But unlike a season-long burn like Lost was, this is parsing out very interesting information in every episode. And I don't know if it's 8 or 10 episodes. I'm not sure, but it's another Apple Plus banger.
What do you
And
think?
I love it.
What do you think in terms of the fact that it beat, Apple's record? Is this standing on the shoulders of giants? Have others like Severance and brought in new audiences that? But I also don't want to like say it's only that big because of other things. So how does this kind of stack up with something like other mystery box series like Severance and?
Here's the thing. I think what's really interesting about this show is even though Carol is a romance writer,
Mhm.
she is, and pardon me for gendering, she is the everyman. Any one of us can be Carol. And I think, all of the great movies or all the great books or all the great television shows always sort of allow the audience to put themselves in the role of the protagonist.
Mhm.
And you ask yourself, well, what would I do? And I think what's really interesting is Carol is not, she's a successful author, but she's not a scientist. She's not a science fiction fan. She doesn't know her Twilight Zone episodes, which
Right.
I saw an interesting theory that this is actually a sequel to an episode called Third from the Sun,
Oh.
which, because Carol's last name is the same as the character in this episode, which I'm sure was intentional. But I think, look, Apple's shows, even shows I don't particularly like Invasion, that talk about a slow burn, although it ended in an interesting fashion, at least third season did. Apple's shows just really are of a very high caliber. They're beautifully made. They're beautifully encoded. They look terrific on an OLED set. You've got For All Mankind. You've got Severance. You've got Invasion. You've got this show. You've had things like C was okay. But Apple definitely has a commitment to quality. And I think any of these shows are compelling. I think this show in particular, it's done what Stephen King did to horror. Stephen King took horror out of the mountains of Carpathia and said that crazy girl down the lane with her crazy religious mother, she's got psychic powers and she's going to kill you at the prom.
Mhm.
This show takes really heady science fiction concepts and puts them in your neighborhood.
Right.
Kind of like a Canadian author named Robert Charles Wilson, who I recommend everybody read. So it's an incredible show. I think it's an incredible show.
It actually kind of does sound a little more like Twilight Zone too when you say that, because Twilight Zone was these incredible situations plopped right on the everyman's lap. It was placed literally in some episodes of Twilight Zone right in a very hysteric neighborhood that could have been ours, because aliens are coming and,
Yeah, like that great episode, The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street, one of the most famous.
I love that. Yeah,
it's so great. And this, this plays into that. And what I really like about this is it's a very smart show.
Mm-hmm.
It presupposes the audience, all of us, are intelligent human beings. And I really like that.
How about that?
I wish modern Star Trek did that.
Ooh. Well, what do you guys think? Have you guys caught Pluribus? Are you going to catch Pluribus? It's on my list. I just haven't gotten to it yet. But Rob sells it pretty strongly. I feel like Apple TV did say, hey, HBO, hold my beer. So, they're the top tier. But listen, in terms of HBO, we got another story here. HBO has done some renewing, Rob. They've been busy renewing some episodes. We got House of the Dragon, Task. I haven't seen I Love LA, but I Love LA. Night of the Seven Kingdoms hasn't even aired its first season yet. And I was speaking with John yesterday about, how he said the execs over at HBO just love what they see of Hedge Knight. So they're already renewing a second season before season 1 has come up. But what say you?
Dude, again, HBO with their banger shows, Night of the Seven Kingdoms is based on George R. R. Martin novellas. He's back as a creator. It's more of an everyman show. The trailer looked terrific. I can't wait to see it. I really, the more Westeros is ripe for exploration. And I think House of the Dragon proved, can you do a sequel to Game of Thrones? However you thought it ended, it's one of the greatest shows that's ever been on TV. And House of the Dragon, while I thought season 2 was cut a little short, but they knew that. I mean, it was probably a budgetary issue, but getting a renewal for a 4th season, I think that's great. I think what we're getting, they had said, I think Ryan Condal, the showrunner, had said originally that they wanted to go 4 seasons, or maybe George R. Martin did, to tell this whole story. Maybe they'll get a 5th season out of it, which is great.
Well,
And
but if we do, hopefully I mean, we're not getting this, although it's renewed, we're not getting it till the summer of next year.
no, I know.
So let's hope if season 5 does happen, it's going to be then summer of 27.
Yeah, so they're going to switch off years apparently. I think we get both Night of the Seven Kingdoms and House of the Dragon this year. Don't we get House of the Dragon in late summer, and then they're going to switch off. So then we get Night of the Seven Kingdoms and then the 4th season of House of the Dragon in 2028.
Gotcha.
I can live with that.
Well,
I think it's exciting.
Yeah. What about have you caught up with Task or?
I have not, although John's talked a lot about it, said it was great, and a lot of other people I've talked to think it's great. So maybe it is.
Yeah. Well, what are your thoughts on Night of Seven Kingdoms? I mean, it's based on a novella. So it looks a short story.
I think it looks great. There's been a couple of them about this character, and I thought the trailer was really interesting. I mean, I really like sort of, in a lot of our favorite genre shows, whether it's Star Trek, whether it's Star Wars, whether it's House of the Dragon or Game of Thrones, we're always looking at the top men and women in these environments.
Yeah.
You rarely get to see, like, what does the man on the street do all day in Westeros? We've seen elements of it when our characters journey into those places. They're not fun to be at, but when you have a low-level knight trying to make his way in the world with a young squire.
Amongst his betters, as he says.
Yes, amongst his betters. I'm looking forward to that. What is that like? I'm excited, dude. It's right up my alley. I love shows like this.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what they do. And look, I've really loved House of the Dragon. And you have, I think, George R. R. Martin's giving more input than, say, he gave into the last few seasons of Game of Thrones. So go
ahead.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, people who haven't caught up, there are a lot out there that haven't caught up on House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones, whatever.
Yeah.
What's nice about Hedge Knight is this is really giving you some bingeable content, because you can just go chronologically now with House of the Dragon.
Knight,
because that sets in between, chronologically between the two shows. It's about 70 years before Game of Thrones and 70 years after House of the Dragon. And it's not, it's not like this guy is just a knight and he wants to go into tournaments. There's a bigger story to this, of course.
Right, sure.
I mean, there's direct connection with the child, and I don't know if you know this, but direct connection with the child and Aemon. Remember him from House?
Oh yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of things revealed in this series, and I think people are going to get a kick out of it. Have you seen I Love LA? I hadn't even heard of it.
I haven't. It's from the girl who gave us Shiva Baby. Is it the director who gave us that? Which I liked. If that was hers, was it Shiva Baby that she did? She was heavily influenced, I guess, by Entourage, but I haven't seen the show.
It kind of, just from the imagery I've been seeing, I've been thinking of Entourage. One that is on my list, I know there's a few on my list that I haven't got to, but I promise I will, is The Chair Company. Because this looks like it's probably right up my alley.
Yeah, I haven't seen that either, and I know that dropped recently too.
And the fact that it's been renewed, HBO must like something. So, look, there we have it, guys. HBO is renewing 4 or 5 different shows, some of which haven't even aired yet. Have you caught up on, obviously not Hedge Knight, but House of the Dragon, Task, The Chair Company, I Love LA? What do you guys think about that? Let us know in the comments. And if you're looking forward to some more of these shows, if they've already run their course, let us know. All right, Rob, moving on. We got another topic here. We're going to move into Paramount a little bit.
Uh-oh.
We'll be on Paramount a little bit for the day, but Paramount, they're canceling a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles live action movie that I wanted to see, The Last Ronin, based on...
yeah, I'm bummed about this.
Yeah, and let me bring up the story here, and we'll let you take it away. Go for it.
Well, I think, look, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a franchise that is very beloved to an entire generation. For me, I was there when Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles first came out, and it was sort of an answer to Frank Miller's samurai cyberpunk tale Ronin, and of course his Daredevil stuff and stuff like that. So when I read Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it was pretty hardcore and it was very adult. And then of course it was later adapted and basically turned into a kids franchise, where it has resided. Arrow UK just put out a banger box set of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles live action films from the 90s, which is very popular. And this sounded good to me.
Yeah.
This sounded like the kind of movie that appealed to me as a, middle-aged man with one foot in the grave. I'm like, I'll watch a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Ronin movie. What's up? And now that it's not going to get made, I'm kind of bummed about this. I mean, it looked and sounded good. I'm sorry to see this go. Maybe it'll get revived later.
I really don't understand why they're doing this, because this is something that's like, we haven't seen this side of the Ninja Turtles really, other than the original run back in the 80s. And then,
yeah, man.
And then this strip. And we just, I feel like if you're going to do the 4-quadrant thing, why aren't you sticking with like Mutant Mayhem? Why you have that going on? It's like, this was successful. You got your 4-quadrant animation right here. It sounds to me like they want to go back to the Michael Bay style Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which we've gotten.
Yeah.
So this is something new, and it's like you can run the animation, and then you can run something like The Last Ronin, which is a darker tale, almost as dark as like a Batman type of style thing. Like people aren't going to. Maybe they're afraid people will not associate this darker story with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and maybe they're afraid if with the marketing, people are going to shy away from it. I don't know. I'm just bummed about it. I think they should have stuck with it.
I agree. I think this is a cool property. I'm frequently mystified by certain decisions that are made. I think of all the kinds of things. I mean, maybe they think it was too far away from the core brand. I don't know, but those kind of decisions never seem to be based on real knowledge of the franchise. It's always like acquired knowledge from other people, and sometimes people make decisions I don't necessarily agree with.
Yeah. I mean, and any film is going to be a risk, and maybe they're mitigating the fact. This is probably one of the first announcements out of Paramount Skydance that I'm like, oh.
Yeah, me too.
That's a bummer.
They're making all these great moves.
Great moves. They haven't really produced the off the announcements yet, but they've made great announcements. And this is the first announcement where I'm just like, oh, this is not a good move. I mean, I don't know.
No, don't like it. Not a fan, dude.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
All right. Well, look, guys, we're gonna do a little game here, a little game of verses. We've come to the end of some of these topics. We have some more topics coming up, but we reached out to you guys for some scenarios, and I got back about 7 from y'all. So, Rob, why don't we go through these? Here's the first one in a verse.
All right. Lay it on me, buddy.
Here we go. From Lost Anchor Films, which was the harder adaptation to pull off, Lord of the Rings or versus Dune?
That's a good one. Both had been adapted before. Lord of the Rings was adapted by Ralph Bakshi in the late 70s with a score by Leonard Rosenman, but it was animated. And then, of course, Dune had the 1984 David Lynch version.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that Lord of the Rings was a more difficult adaptation, because if nothing else, the design work, you're creating multiple races across multiple kingdoms, multiple layers of things. I mean, you had to make us believe that the Ents could talk, and Treebeard and all the different forces. You had to have the Riders of Rohan. You had to have all of those things. That said, the adaptation of Dune, to me, I always talk about the word verisimilitude.
Mm-hmm.
Dune is peak verisimilitude. The Dune movies, I think, of all the science fiction movies ever made, I actually believe that they went to Arrakis, they went to Gidi Prime, they went to these planets and actually shot there. That's how amazing it is. And but I do think I'm going to have to say that Lord of the Rings was more difficult to adapt, only because there was more of it that they had to adapt.
Yeah.
However, the way it was done, the sound mix of Dune has never been equaled.
No.
There's incredible things.
I mean, technology has
yeah,
improved over the last 20 years. I mean, from what we got with Lord of the Rings, I think that was peak at that time. I have to go Lord of the Rings. And as far as verisimilitude, I often forgot I was not in New Zealand. I thought I was in Middle Earth.
right, exactly.
And to this day, I still feel that way. So when I watch it, so to the point where now, if I walk around South Island of New Zealand, I'll probably just say I'm in Middle Earth.
By the way, you want me to blow your mind?
Yes.
December 19th of this year is the 24th anniversary of the release of Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah.
24 years, dude.
Yeah. I think I was 23 when that came out, so let's not do the math.
You look good, though.
Yeah, well, thank you. Next up here, we got from Jose Cuendo, Rob, and this versus The Smashing Machine versus The Wrestler with the movie with Mickey Rourke.
Ooh. You know what?
One's a biopic, an actual biopic, and one is a drama, but go ahead.
I'm going to go with The Wrestler. Only because with The Wrestler, I was going to say, for the very reason you just cited, you have an original story that you're telling, as opposed to having a biopic where the story's been laid out for you. And look, I think Mickey Rourke delivering that performance, the cast of not that Dwayne Johnson wasn't great in The Smashing Machine, but I think The Wrestler is a better film. And I think the central performance, I mean, look, no shade on the rock for this one, but Mickey Rourke was an actor for decades.
Sure, of course.
And it shows.
Yeah. And I mean, this was a showcase. The Smashing Machine was a showcase for Dwayne Johnson and a new leap to show us like really what he's capable of. And I thought he was capable of a great performance. But at the end of the day, to this point, in this day, if I think about The Wrestler, like it kind of hangs with me, man, that story. So
yeah, it really does.
I really have to go with The Wrestler on that one. All right. Next up, we're going to hear from Josh. We're going to go into the comedy realm. I try to chop these up by kind of genres. So The Hangover versus Step Brothers. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. Ooh. As far as zeitgeist, I felt like the Hangover was just amongst my entire general audience of friends. It was, but amongst my comedy enthusiast friends, dude, Step Brothers. Step Brothers is my favorite Will Ferrell movie.
Yeah, it's so good. God, that's tough.
Will Ferrell comedy movie.
But here's the thing. This is going to seem weird, but the Step Brothers takes place in movie world.
Takes place in Pasadena, Rob.
And The Hangover takes place in the real world.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like when you're watching.
It's a heightened reality.
Yes, it's a heightened reality, and I have always loved. I mean, I grew up. I love situational comedies where the situation, and I love the cast of The Hangover, and I thought that first movie just appealed to me more. However, if I was going to show somebody a comedy that hadn't seen a comedy, and they asked me specifically to watch a comedic movie, and I had a choice between the two, I'd probably show them Step Brothers.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you're just talking comedies, it's Step Brothers, because that's my favorite. One of my favorite comedies. It's my favorite Will Ferrell comedy. But if you're talking about more for general audiences, not Step Brothers. What's the other? Hangover is just a better film. It's a good film, and it's stuck with audiences for years.
Right.
But I'm gonna go Step Brothers because we're just talking comedy. So Step Brothers.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah, I go Step Brothers.
Next up, what was that? Was that number 3? Here's 4. Unknown. Best Christmas movie. Christmas Story versus Home Alone.
Oh, I'm going to go with Christmas Story.
Me too. I mean, I feel like
100%.
Home Alone is the comedic version of Die Hard.
Yeah. And also,
It could have
the
taken
thing,
place at any time of the year. It didn't. You
right?
know what I mean?
And the thing about A Christmas Story is, you have a lot of people don't know these days who Gene Shepherd was, but Gene Shepherd, the narrator who's
Mm-hmm.
telling that story, it really delves into it's period Americana. And I think Home Alone, like you said, I mean, it is, if you're going to say Home Alone isn't a Christmas movie, you have to say Die Hard isn't a Christmas movie either. And I think Home Alone is a Christmas movie, but your point is well taken. It could have taken place at any time of the year. But I think A Christmas Story is really about Christmas and family and the every family, the American family, where Home Alone is Home Alone's a fun goofball story.
Sure.
Whereas again, Home Alone is set in movie world, but A Christmas Story is set in the real world.
I'm catching a theme here. You
Sense.
want to know
Yeah,
a little fun fact?
I do.
My sister, she went to school with Peter Billingsley, who played
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I used to work with him back
Oh,
in the
wow.
90s. Yeah, we made a couple of short films together, and we had a production company for a while. Nicest guy in the world. He was an executive producer of Iron Man, and he was
Nice.
in it.
That's
So, because
crazy.
he was really good.
I know
really
most
good
people would
friends
not catch that trivia.
Favreau and Vince Vaughn were two of his best friends.
Because then we grew up in Burbank, so you're gonna they were filming Wonder Years all the time, driving down the streets and at our schools and whatever. So she went to school with him. She went to school with oh my gosh, she played Tootie on Facts of Life. Just lots of stuff like that. I went to school with the Soleil Moon Frye, who was Punky Brewster, elementary school with her. And then when they did Saved by the Bell, the next class or whatever, I went to school with a couple of those people. So it was just random actors we just went to school with over the years.
Sure.
All right, so next up from Chad Sam, we're going animation here. WALL-E versus the Wild Robot.
Ooh, that's another tough one. You know what? I'm going to go WALL-E because I like the science fiction aspects of it and the cautionary tale of the dystopian future it has for mankind.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Wild Robot's got some of that too.
Very much so.
But there was, and God, that's a tough one. I really like both.
Thank you, Lori Howard. Kim Fields. That was the she.
Oh yeah, Kim. Yeah. No, I'm gonna go with WALL-E.
Okay.
But the Wild Robot's a great movie.
It's hard for me to describe WALL-E, my feelings on it. When I people think I'm too harsh with it. I'm not the biggest fan of WALL-E. I like WALL-E, but it kind of grinds my gears. It's
and WALL-E is definitely it's a Pixar movie. It's a Pixar. It's not. Whereas Wild Robot is a cooler movie.
I just felt like every shot in the Wild Robot was beautiful. It was stunning. I did like the story. Maybe there's a deeper meaning in WALL-E for us as humans, but I'm gonna go Wild Robot.
I can see that. I mean, Wild Robot is it's just a cooler movie. Mm-hmm. WALL-E is still saddled with the Pixar Disney of it all, and Wild Robot isn't. WALL-E. But I'll tell you one thing. If I had both of those to show somebody, I would show them Wild Robot first.
Yeah, there you go. That's kind of a nice way of kind of coming down to it. I'd show them Step Brothers. I'd show them WALL-E. All right, number 6, the penultimate. From Chad Sam again. I guess I mistakenly got 2. You got a bonus, Chad Sam. Nolan doing a Star Wars movie versus Nolan doing a Star Trek movie. And I know, here's the caveat. We know he likes to do his own original, but if he's stepping out of that.
Star Trek all day and every day.
Yeah.
Interstellar is a Star Trek movie. In a way. Yeah. I would love Christopher Nolan to do a Star Trek movie.
Dude, McDonald's breakfast all day, every day.
The thing about Star Wars is he'd do a fine job making a Star Wars movie, but I think Christopher Nolan has more to say about us. As Star Trek is a franchise that's about
us,
the human condition, whereas Star Wars is a fantasy that is supposed to entertain us because of our human condition. And it just depends what you want. Like if
And
you
there's
want a
deep
cool
overtones of overtones of fascism and things like that as well in Star Wars, of
and
course. But
literature,
yeah.
and whereas Star Wars is a fantasy, Star
Mhm.
Trek is an allegorical science fiction action adventure that has something to say about the human condition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm not going to try to say more about Star Trek than you, Rob, but that was actually my choice too. I would love to see Nolan take on Star Trek.
But that said, I'd love to see a Christopher Nolan Star Wars movie.
I'll take either, man. I'll take
Yeah.
either and be happy. But yeah. All right. Here's our final versus geeky. This is a good one, Rob. Jaws versus Jurassic Park, which is better Spielberg movie? I know my answer.
Jaws all day, every day, 100%, no question.
I think we're in the same boat. I think that Jurassic Park, okay, technologically speaking, Jurassic Park was a game changer for the movie industry.
Yep.
I didn't get to, I was too young to, okay, the first movie I saw in movie theaters that I could remember was Return of the Jedi. But I wasn't born for Star Wars. I was born in 79. So I understand what it did for the industry, but I got to live through Jurassic Park and what it did for the industry and how it affected me in my teens. So I understand that, and it's a great movie. But if we're just talking about the nuances of filmmaking, dude, it's Jaws. The dialogue, there really is no exposition, and yet there is, but it's so subtle. The just the use of camera angles, using I love those cuts he makes when people are walking past him on the beach.
It's yeah.
That focus where the camera's being pulled back while they're
Yeah, the
zooming
racks,
in. It's not a rack focus, but I forget what
not
it's called.
yeah, it's a zoom, it's a dolly move with a zoom.
Yeah, like a dolly. Yeah, exactly. And they used it in like Raging Bull and
Yeah, it's incredible. Hitchcock did that.
uh,
So good.
Jaws is. Oh, okay, I actually have to take Jaws out of the Spielberg. We've talked about this. When people ask me like, what's my favorite Spielberg movie? I'm gonna say E.T. because Jaws I take out of that, and it's actually like one of my favorite period movies. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Well, and also the movies are doing different things. I mean, again,
Well,
Jurassic
Empire of
Park.
the Sun is probably my favorite Spielberg. I
It's
take that
I
back.
love Empire
Empire
of
of
the
the
Sun.
Sun is.
But I mean, Jurassic Park is a wonderful monster movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'll tell you something. It was one of the times in a movie theater that I felt like Sam Neill.
Dolly zoom. Thank you guys.
That I felt that way looking at the brachiosaur
Mm-hmm.
eat, and you see the whole. It was amazing because no one had ever depicted dinosaurs on screen. I mean, I've been seeing dinosaurs since I was a kid. Stop motion things like Valley of the Guanji or the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms and stuff like that. It was always stop motion, but to see photorealistic dinosaurs was insane. I mean, it was absolutely insane. That when they're running through the field and all the dinosaurs are coming around them, and they jump over the log and so. I mean, it was.
Right.
But the thing about Jaws is, again, Jaws is a movie about people, and you've got these three very different men, especially Brody, have to come together and figure out a way to go vanquish. Jaws is mythic.
Right.
It's almost like a Greek myth. These three warriors thrown together in a situation where they have to go combat the Minotaur, or something, and kind of like the Odyssey.
Yeah.
But with the Odyssey, it's just about a man who wants to go home to his wife, though. But I think Jaws transcends genre and goes into classic status. But Jurassic Park is a ride. It's one of the great rides in cinema history. And
Yeah.
it did, like you said, it was a game changer. Without T2, there would be no Jurassic Park, and without Jurassic Park, there'd be no rest of the film business over the last 30 years.
And without Duel, there'd be no Jaws.
That's right.
Even if you compare something like monologues, like Hammond's monologue, talking about,
oh yeah,
it was great, but it just Quint's monologue is just so much better.
Yeah,
in my opinion. All right, guys. Well, that's it for our verses. Thank you for submitting
those were good.
Those were really fun.
Good ones.
Yeah,
good job, fellows.
You really made us have some tough choices there. We have some more stories coming up. We're going to be talking about the final bids for Warner Brothers are in. They were in yesterday. We're going to give a quick rundown on the players and ultimately who we think maybe has the best chances going into next week or whenever they decide to make an announcement or whatever. And then Wicked for Good. It has the biggest previews of the year. I wouldn't have thought it. Is this a sign for, the theater's awakening? Is this just an outlier? We'll find out. But before that, we're going to take a break here. We're going to hear from a couple of sponsors of the show, our friends over at Zapier and BetterHelp.
Guys, we want to take a second and thank the sponsor of today's video, BetterHelp. Guys, as the days start to get shorter and it starts getting dark before you've even had dinner, this time of year can feel a little heavier than usual. And something I've been trying to do lately is to reach out to people I haven't connected with in a while. Just last week, I messaged a buddy of mine that I haven't talked to in a while, and we just grabbed lunch. And afterwards, I found myself thinking, why didn't I do this sooner? This time of year isn't easy for everyone, and staying connected really does matter. We're better when we have community, when we have support, and when we make the effort to check in with the people we know and love, and check in with ourselves. And for a lot of people, reaching out for therapy is the same way. It can feel like a big first step, but once they do, they often say, why didn't I do this sooner? And BetterHelp can be that first step. BetterHelp's therapists follow a strict code of conduct and are fully licensed in the US. They'll also do the matching work for you. After a short questionnaire, they'll help connect you with someone who fits your needs, drawing on more than 12 years of experience. And if the match isn't quite right, you can switch therapists anytime. So this month, don't wait to reach out. Whether you're checking in on a friend or reaching out to a therapist yourself, BetterHelp makes it easier to take that first step. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/Campea. That's betterhelp.com/Campea. Guys, we want to take a second to thank the sponsor of today's video, Zapier. One of the biggest game changers of the past year has been AI. But let's be real, just talking about AI doesn't actually make your day any more productive. What does make it more productive is finding tools to put AI to work for you. And that's where Zapier comes in. Zapier is the easiest way to take AI and plug it directly into the apps and processes that you're already using every day. No IT bottlenecks, no complexity, just results. For me, it's been about saving time on repetitive stuff so I can focus on the work that matters and I actually enjoy. And it's not just me. Over 3.4 million companies are already using Zapier to streamline everything from sales and marketing to IT and HR. With their AI orchestration platform, you can connect top AI models like ChatGPT or Claude right into the apps you already use. So whether it's automatically enriching leads, coaching your sales team, or even resolving IT tickets, Zapier makes it simple. Guys, join the 3.4 million companies already automating with Zapier and transform how you work with Zapier and AI. Get started for free by visiting zapier.com/Campea. That's zapier.com/Campea.
All right, guys, thanks for sticking with us through our sponsors. Thank you to Zapier and BetterHelp. I noticed in the chat some people were saying that I may have missed a verses, so I'm just going to cycle through these real quick. We did that. We did Smashing Machine. We did Hangover, Christmas movie. We did Wall-E. We did Nolan doing Star Wars and Star Trek, and then we did Jurassic. No, we did them all. That was all of them.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. All right. So next up, our next topic. This is a big one. Let's face it, guys. As empires go, this is the big one. What's that from? If you know it.
I don't know it.
It's British. I'll give you
Empire
that.
Records.
Yeah, it's a British comedy. All right. So bids are in. They were due
Fish
yesterday.
called Wanda?
No, I'll just we'll see if anyone gets it and then I'll just say it. But
With Nail and I?
we'll find out. All right. So look at the bids are in for Warner Brothers. Our top contenders are Netflix, Comcast, Universal, and Paramount, Skydance Paramount. So let's get into this this topic here, Rob. This is from Variety. And they say Warner Brothers Discovery Company set to review first round of acquisition bids from Paramount, Comcast, and Netflix. I thought maybe we could kind of go through this article and break down the players, and then at the end just give our thoughts on maybe who we still like. If it's going to be someone, who do we like, and then who do we think it's most likely?
Life of Brian.
There you go. That was
Somebody
it.
said in the crowd.
And let's face it, as empires go, this is the big one. You got it. Who was it?
I see it coming from Muay Tyrant.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Tyrant. 2706.
Wife of
Somebody
Brian.
else might have said it, but
You haven't given us enough time to hide. All right. So what do you think here? The Warner Brothers Discovery, it's about to dive into the nitty-gritty.
let's do it. I
Obviously-
mean, I haven't read this article. I didn't read it all the way through. So
Yeah, let's go
what does
for
it
it.
say?
Let's go for it. The media conglomerate, home of Warner Brothers, HBO and HBO Max, CNN, HGTV, and TBS, and more, is now evaluating multiple acquisition offers in a first round of bids. Multiple sources noted that the bidding process required participants to sign non-disclosure agreements. No kidding. As is commonplace, Paramount, Skydance, Netflix, Comcast declined to comment, as did Warner Brothers. I think they would. Let me close this little ad here. Whatever. All right. Last month, Warner Brothers Discovery announced that it had received inbound M&A interest for multiple parties. Moving down, David Ellison, fresh off closing his deal with Paramount Skydance in August, is known to have submitted bids for WBD. He was the first kind of to jump in the tank. And originally in October, Warner Brothers had rejected his $23.50 per share offer, 80% cash, 20% stock. Then Paramount upped its bid this week. And then we come down here. Where are we? Netflix and Comcast. These are the next players, which is splitting NBC Universal into two with a spinoff of its Versant cable-focused company by year-end. So they're kind of doing what Warner Brothers wants to do, break off their cable conglomerates.
Right.
So they're looking to break off as well, but they kind of want to absorb Warner Brothers, which is basically right across the street from the back of their lot. And then we move down here. It talks about, where is it? Netflix is looking good. Looking to get its hands on Warner Brothers' extensive production capabilities and deep film and TV library. You talked about that yesterday, Rob. The number one premium streamer would be acquiring HBO Max, so that would be a massive absorption of premium streaming there. So these are our three. What do we think is going to happen here, Rob?
Gosh, it's, now that everyone's, I would have thought that the Ellisons would have nailed it. But now that Comcast, Universal, and Netflix have jumped into the fray, I think Comcast and Universal are the people that would be, I don't think the best choice necessarily, but at least they're in the movie and entertainment business. And not that Netflix isn't, but again, they would have to pivot from their core brand, which is Netflix does not want to go theatrical.
You're not buying it, huh? You're not buying it.
I know they can start up theatrical, but they haven't even given their movies that they put out theatrical a chance.
Right.
They've done it half-assed. Like, we'll put out the Glass Onion in theaters for a week and give it
a week or 2 weeks at most.
700 theaters. I'm like, you bought a franchise whose first film made over 300 million worldwide.
Yes.
And they've been leaving money on the table. And it's, we're going to go theatrical for the final episode of Stranger Things. I mean, okay, good for you guys. And look, to be honest, Jonathan, I don't know if the theatrical business has a long life left to it. I mean, the month of October did not bode well. There's been a lot of really great independent film that we've seen coming out over the last couple of months that have virtually no viewership. I mean, I would have thought that something like Begonia would have at least brought in some people, but even that film, it's like $55 million budget. I mean, I don't know how theatrical can survive unless they're getting more and more of these epic event pictures that are really expensive to make. So, but I would like to have the theatrical experience last as long as I still take a breath. So give me 20 years before I shuffle off this mortal coil, and so I would like to see Universal Comcast, I think, win. Plus, they already have Harry Potter is a Warner Brothers franchise, but they've done great with the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, that attraction. Imagine what they could do with the other IPs that Warner Brothers has. So I guess I would opt for Universal Comcast. They also still have a pretty big commitment to physical media, which I like, and so does Warner Brothers, but Paramount doesn't really. They've given away their catalog, and neither does Netflix. So of all the three big ones, I would say Comcast Universal.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I kind of lean as well. Comcast Universal, one, logistically, it's right there. We joked they could have a sky bridge built over Smokehouse for their golf carts to go back and forth, and a little pedestrian walkway on the side. Maybe a little shrubbery. I don't know why I keep going to Monty Python, but and I feel like in terms of preserving film, in terms of loving your product, and that's what it comes down to. It's not just a commodity. You're loving your product and your history. Universal loves its history, obviously. Warner Brothers loves its history, so does Disney. Netflix, what history? You know, mail out DVDs. I mean, Paramount did, but does Skydance, or is Skydance just trying to make money? I mean, they're all trying to make money, but is there any kind of reverence for film history, film preservation? I'm of two minds. I get it. It's easy to be skeptical and say, well, the film industry is just going to die. Well, I don't know about that, because, you know, live like Broadway musicals and Broadway plays are still very popular. People are still going, and those are way more expensive than a movie. It never really died off. I mean, audiences have gotten bigger for some of these plays. And when we look back, like, you could go back and say, oh, well, you know, more people used to go to movies. Well, let's go back to like the 80s. There's tons of movies that were independent films that did not really do well. And regardless of inflation, these were movies that like you saw in the mom and pop VHS rental stores. And you just, I think it's kind of like in our minds, like, oh, well, these were all big films. These were all popular. Like, no, they weren't. And there were just a handful of big Spielberg type movies that came out through those times, or like things like Back to the Future. But if you take all of those and you compare them to all the amount of films that were released, even in the 90s, I think what happened was, once Marvel blew up in the aughts, we kind of got accustomed to massive audiences. And I think there were audiences that obviously had never gone to the movie theaters before in those numbers. And then we saw a big drop off. Obviously COVID was one of those. And now just the cost of living doesn't help either. And I think we're comparing it to the last 15 to 20 years. But I really push back on the fact that like cinema's dead, you know?
I agree. Look, I don't think cinema is dead. I think one of the big problems facing cinema moving forward is we don't have a lot of people that get to ply their trade. You know, you have like a guy like Colin Trevorrow who works on Safety Not Guaranteed, and ask Mark Duplass if he should have been handed Jurassic World to direct, or a Star Wars movie. He made $1 million movie.
Yeah.
And then he's directing a $150 million franchise film.
When he was going to get Star Wars, I remember he came into I think at that point
he was going to direct Duel of the Fates.
And he literally was like, yeah, I'm really excited. I remember calling my wife and saying, yeah, I think we can start looking for a new home. And then it wasn't long after they pulled the plug. Well,
and also the world's changed, because when we were growing up, I mean, all the people, the filmmakers that I followed, you think about people like, let's talk about the genre directors that cut their teeth in horror. Yeah. People like Joe Dante, John Landis, David Cronenberg, John Carpenter. You know, all these guys, like John Carpenter makes a student film, Dark Star at USC, expands it into a feature. Then he gets to make Assault on Precinct 13. Then he makes Halloween. Then he makes The Fog. And then he makes Escape from New York. And then he gets his first studio movie. That never happens today. Mm-hmm. So John Carpenter plied his craft making banger independent horror films and crime thriller, you know, remake of Rio Bravo on the streets of LA in Assault on Precinct 13. And by the time he makes his first studio picture, he's got 5 movies. Let's see, Dark Star, 1, 2, 3, 4. We have five movies under his belt.
Uh-huh.
And nowadays that doesn't happen.
Right.
So, and by the way, all of his earlier movies, I'm not saying they're the best movies ever made, but his original, The Fog, Escape from New York, Halloween, become classics, and then they get remade.
They were classics, but that's kind of my point. It's movies like Escape from New York. Even with inflation, let's just go back. It made $25 million in box worldwide, and it cost $4 million to make. Yeah, and that's great. And with inflation, that's more than $25 million. But what I'm saying is, these weren't billion-dollar films, and I think that the industry and audiences have to kind of like come to grips with the fact that maybe we just have to resettle with where the film industry really is comfortable being. Like the aughts of 2000, the last 15 years may have been an outlier where we're getting $1 billion, $2 billion, 6 of those a year. And if it doesn't happen, then it's just crumbling and no one's going to movies anymore. People talk about Escape from New York all the time, and it only made 25 worldwide. I mean,
but back then it was a low budget film released by Avco Embassy, you know, and even big. I mean, the Thing and Blade Runner came out on the same day, and both tanked back in '82, the summer of '82, and now they're considered classics today.
yeah.
But even those movies nowadays, big studio movies, you're looking at $150 million. Where are the people? Where are the new filmmakers? I mean, sure, we've got the Robert Eggers and the Ari Asters and Guillermo del Toro's making big movies, but how many great filmmakers do we even have left? How many new filmmakers are going to support the industry? If you look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you know, you see directors like when they got the Russo brothers had cut their teeth directing a lot of TV, whereas a lot of our big directors in the 80s had made a million commercials.
Yeah.
Like Ridley and Tony Scott had. So there were people that were plying their craft, making, whether it's TV or movies, they were making lots of things. Kenneth Branagh, you know, coming from the Royal Shakespeare Company to making Shakespeare movies to directing Thor. That was an unbelievable fit. And then he also directs Cinderella, kicking off the live action Disney remakes. So you have a guy that was Shakespearean trained, theatrically trained, who goes on, his first movie was Henry V that he started.
Oh,
and
man, that's a good movie. And a young
great
Christian
movie,
Bale.
the Saint Crispin's Day speech.
Come on.
And then
we
happy few, we Banded Brothers. It's so good. Man, and nowadays people don't even know Shakespeare. It's a bummer. But so now you go to look at the difference between even Joss Whedon, when he was tapped to do the Avengers movies, you know, he'd made Buffy and Angel, which were seminal shows for a generation, cut his teeth on those things. And then he made other things like Dollhouse and Firefly. He had a lot of work under his belt as a creative, as a writer. And they bring him on to do the Avengers. And look at what's happened in phases 4, 5, and 6. They're starting to get back to directors like Shackman has done a lot of work under his belt and things like that. But we need people that really know cinema and know how to make movies. And the only way to do that is to make movies. And we don't have a farm league anymore. We don't have theatrically released $4 million, $8 million. I mean, sometimes you'll get a Zach Kreger who comes in with somebody like a producer like Roy Lee, makes a Barbarian for $4.5 million, plies his craft. His second movie is Weapons. The deal was rich, but they didn't make that movie for a lot of money. And he's working his way up. Now he's doing a Resident Evil film. He's building his career. And I would imagine in 25 years, we're still going to be watching Zach Kreger movies. And that's the way it should be. And there's just not a lot of that happening because of the way the business works.
Yeah. Well, I think there has to be a kind of a great reset. I think movie theaters themselves are going to have a hard look on what they're doing too, as far as costs. I'll tell you, something would have been better for AMC to promote was A-List. Instead of doing a Nicole Kidman, they should have put A-List, a great A-List commercial, because there's a lot of people that do not realize for 20 something bucks a month, you can go see 4 movies a week. I would have had that plastered everywhere. And you know, that's what movie theaters need to do. You know, if people want to pay like a monthly fee for streaming, that's kind of what they're going to want to have to do, a subscription basis for movie theaters. It's a great idea. And you don't have, there goes my doves. And you don't have to like buy concessions. Come on. You know, get to theaters.
No, but I also think that they've got to do. Look, I look at the Regal, the Spectrum, Irvine Spectrum, Regal Cinema. I went and saw Friday the 13th 3D in 3D right before Halloween, and they put it in Theater 13. That was officer thinking on the part of the people of Regal. My local Harkins Theater programs Spanish language versions of our horror films like Final Destination. We need that kind of thinking. We need more of that out of the box.
Yeah.
And we need people to really innovate and make the movie-going experience special again.
Well, we'll
and
see.
I love it when people roll out for Wicked for Good and stuff like that. It's good.
We'll see if we get somebody. That's a good transition too. We'll see if we'll get that But when we have someone like David Ellison saying this is going to make if we were to purchase Warner Bros., it would be this powerhouse. I don't know that we want that in terms of the studio business, a powerhouse that like one voice. I mean, I don't know, but we'll see. They're going to do.
I mean, I think Universal.
Go ahead.
Well, from a business standpoint, Universal Comcast would get my vote, but really, I would like Warner Brothers to stay autonomous.
The article does say there's still an option that the board and decide they're going to sell off their stake in their cable businesses, and they're just going to be autonomous still. So there's still that chance.
I would love it.
Yeah, I think it's slim, but there you have it. So I know we kind of went off on there in the greater movie business, but I mean, we've talked about this purchase for some time. We just wanted to cover that. Yes, these were the players one more time. The bids are in, but kind of look at the health of the industry. Look, if they're wanting to pay $71 billion for a studio, there must be some belief in the health of this industry. So we'll see.
It's not AI.
Yeah.
You still need great creatives.
As a tool, I think AI is fine.
There's going to be a lot of innovative stuff, but no, you're still going to need human beings telling human stories. I mean, all AI will give you is derivative things that have already been made.
Right. So anyway, let us know your thoughts on that. We've got one more topic here, Rob, and that is, and we're just talking about movie theaters, Wicked for Good. It's having its biggest previews of the industry's, like, of all films this year, 2025. I know there's still more films to come this year, obviously, so I think Avatar is probably going to dethrone them, but this is big. Why don't you take us into this?
Well, I mean, look, it's a $30 million preview.
Almost 31.
John said that this movie wouldn't make $1 billion yesterday, and I was it yesterday or the day before, and I said no. I think it absolutely has the potential to do that, because look, people love Wicked, and they love this franchise, and what happens is, when you have a first film that makes a lot of money and people love it, and then you have time for them to have caught up with it on cable or VOD or on physical media, wherever they've caught up with it, the audience expands exponentially because the people that didn't go see it in the theater have now seen it, and they don't want to wait. So you've got a lot more people clearly that were excited about this movie, and this, by the way, is a multiple viewing experience.
Yeah, it doesn't.
You go back and see it again.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense on a successful franchise that the sequel wouldn't do better.
No,
and it's not just a sequel; it's literally part 2 of the same story.
Yeah, really, absolutely. And I would assume it's going to make a lot of money. It's going to have a huge weekend. It's great for movie theaters. Rolling into December is fantastic. And I think this is amazing. For the new Designing Hollywood, I'm interviewing the cinematographer. She who shot Wicked for Good, has worked with John Cho. She also shot Tick, Tick, Boom, which is a movie I really love. But I think these movies are beautifully made, and they're great fantasy epics. And I think it's exactly the kind of movie. To me, the Wicked movies are kind of like, in terms of their tone and how they feel, I'm not comparing and contrasting the movies. I'm saying the experience and the way they make you feel. It's kind of like when we saw Back to the Future in '85. You've got it just when you walk out of the theater, you kind of feel elated. Like, wasn't that great? It feels fulfilling. And even though Wicked was only one part of a 2-part movie, I felt fulfilled when I saw it. I was like, this is a really great piece of work. Everybody was working. It was an A-game piece of work. And that's what you want when you go to the movie theater. And I think this movie is going to make huge. Is it going to make over 200 million? What do you think?
Oh, this weekend?
Yeah.
Well, really funny you bring that up, because I was just looking at the article here, and it says, the industry is tracking it for 150 to 180 this weekend. Universal has a more conservative take. They're thinking it's more like 125. But I mean, if it lands anywhere on the higher end of that 150 to 180, it's going to dethrone a Minecraft movie, which had a $162 million launch for Warner Brothers. So, I mean, if it hits on the higher end of this, I think $1 billion is definitely within reach.
Yeah.
The first Wicked opened to 112. So this is, and 112, and it made 758 worldwide. So, I mean, this is at least then tracking for like 850 to 9. Just being conservative.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what do you think? Is this an outlier? Is this audiences returning? I mean, is this the holiday season? Like, can I take any kind of like positivity out of this outside of just like this outlier? I mean, Avatar is going to be massive. So
well, I think that this comes out of a hugely popular Broadway play that a lot of people know, that's been around for quite some time, that was based on a book that was also a favorite. I mean, let's face it, this is an IP property, and John Cho did a great job of bringing it to the screen. I mean, this was a really well-handled Tony top shelf A-list project that you had, with Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande being perfectly cast for their roles, and Jeff Goldblum playing the wizard. Come on. This film is exactly what Hollywood does best, and it's working its A game on an A property. So I would expect it to be, I remember when I went and saw Chorus Line with like Michael Douglas playing, I was surprised. I'd seen the play when I was a kid, and I really liked it because it dealt with subject matter I was perhaps a little too young to experience, but I didn't like it very much. I thought, the play was better. Whereas this, I think, and to be fair, I didn't see this on Broadway, but I think the movies were great. Well, the movie, I haven't seen Wicked for Good yet, but it's great stuff. So it makes sense. This is what Hollywood does best.
I think, and maybe the stories are out there. I looked it up briefly, and all it mentioned was the filmed Broadway musical of Hamilton, which was on Disney Plus, and they did release. But I just wouldn't be surprised if we get a live action film of Hamilton after this,
Right. Somebody goes and does it.
Yeah.
But that can be hit and miss because you have In the Heights, and that didn't do particularly well. Although I did love
West Side Story did.
Yeah, West Side, but it didn't do that well.
Yeah.
I mean, the original West Side Story did, but Spielberg's West Side Story was not a huge hit.
But Hamilton doesn't have to have a budget nearly like, you're not going to Oz. You're going to the 1700s.
Right.
In America. Right. So you're inside.
I would love to see that.
Yeah.
If Christopher Nolan was ever going to do a musical.
Oh, come on.
Get Christopher Nolan to direct Hamilton.
That'd be interesting. There's definitely some interesting takes on that, but I think, I just feel like that's a sure shot. Like, why wouldn't you do it? The budget could be well within constraints, and you could have a good profit margin. I'm sure it's already in the works, though. Obviously, I just couldn't tell from my research if it was. Well, anyway, I think that brings us to the end of our main topics, guys. Let us know what you think. Did you already see Wicked for Good in previews? Are you gonna go see it? You're not gonna go see it? What do you think about this? Is this a resurgence to the theaters? We were just talking about some of the struggles. I know Avatar is coming up, but are people now waking up during the holiday season? Hopefully so, because I love the theater industry. So let us know all of that and more. We're going to jump right in to your super chats that you guys sent in. I've turned super chats off, but for those who have, I'm going to refresh this real quick. Those who have submitted, Rob and I are going to answer your questions. We got a good amount of questions in here, Rob, so I'm going to read the first one. Let me just scroll down. Orange Hand is first and says, favorite piece of music in Baldur's Gate 3? I like Down by the River, the track After Sparring, the Night Song, and Raphael's boss theme. Now, probably when he sent this, he thought John was on the show.
Right.
Because I have not played Baldur's Gate 3. But, you know what's crazy about this film, this game, is that I keep looking into it because I typically will purchase a video game when it's gone on sale.
Yeah,
Baldur's Gate hasn't gone on sale. It's still $70. That's how popular this game is. They're like, no. You want it for $70. I'm like, no, I don't. But I guess I'm going to have to wait a few years. People in the chat, if you got any favorite songs from Baldur's Gate 3, throw it in there. But anyway, sorry, Orange Hand. Too bad we couldn't be of more use on that question. The Walking Bread. Finally watched season 2 of Gen V. Loved it. I thought the conclusion of one thing in particular in the finale was but overall a fun season. Where are you at with Gen V, Rob? I
finished it. I enjoyed it. Gen V was better overall than I thought it would be. I really enjoyed I enjoyed it. I really liked the boys overall.
Yeah.
The whole universe.
Right.
I'm glad they're expanding it more. So wait, can I reach? Oh, my Homelander figure is I can't get my Homelander figure, but I have 3 6-scale The Boys figures. I have Homelander, Butcher, and Soldier Boy.
Wow.
I'm waiting for Starlight.
Yeah, what was it you just? Oh yeah, you posted yesterday or maybe it was earlier this morning of Tony Stark and.
Oh yeah, I was playing
like
with those are old the
Yeah.
2 So X-Men figures, and that Tony Stark is an old one.
Yeah.
That's an Iron Man 2.
But a nice
Tony
little play
Stark.
on the X-Men coming in and Doomsday.
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
Picking
That's
up
on
what
my
you were putting
Instagram.
down.
You like that?
Yeah. All right, Michael says, yeah, you guys ever see it's Pat with Julia Sweeney? I mean, I didn't see the movie, but I used to love the sketch on SNL.
The
It's
movie
Pat-
was god awful.
Yeah.
It was just not good. I don't think that was that. By the way, I don't
There's
think
some
that movie.
awesome SNL movies. There's some truly terrible.
That movie would never get made today. I'm
Oh,
sure it would
no.
be protested and canceled for
But it
any
was
number of
Pat was
reasons.
a bit of ahead of their time.
It certainly was. It's not one of my favorite Saturday Night Live
Hey
movies.
Pat, did you grab your wallet, your purse, your wallet? Oh no, I have a fanny pack.
I mean, Julia Sweeney, she was great.
Yep. All right, Mega Red says, Rob, best foods restaurants in Seattle area.
Well, I haven't lived there in a long time, but I'll tell you what, one of my favorites, although it's expensive, if you go to Elliott's on the Wharf downtown, I like to sit there, and it's expensive, but they have great seafood, and I would go down there and get a bowl, Dungeness crab, and devour it. Nice bottle of wine. They've got great oysters. It's a great date place.
That's the thing with
But
that.
it's expensive.
With
But
the
I'll tell you my favorite
Uh-huh.
restaurant in Seattle. This is old school. Again, I don't even know if it's there,
Mhm.
but it's one of Seattle's oldest, most elegant restaurants, and it overlooks Lake Union, and it's called Canlis.
Canlis.
Canlis. Not only is it one of my favorite restaurants, I love coffee candy. They have like the greatest coffee candy of all time. Now, I don't even know if Canlis is still there anymore. And there's all kinds of new restaurants in
Is
Seattle.
it like this really? Hang on, I'm going to bring up an image, and you can tell me if that's it or not. Is that it?
Hang on, I have to wait.
That looks more like
Yes.
a home.
Yes.
That is.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a restaurant now that I look at it. Wow.
Yeah, and
beautiful
I'll-
architecture.
It's unbelievable. Canlis is unbelievable. I love it. And incredible steaks, incredible food. We used to go there all the time. That was my birthday joint. It's like, where are you going? Oh, it's your birthday. We're going to Canlis. But I'll tell you, one of my favorite places in Seattle just got saved. The employees bought it.
Uh-huh.
The Virginia Inn.
Oh wow.
The Virginia Inn was a place I used to go. It's right on the corner, right by the Pike Place Market, a block up from the Pike Place Market. And I used to go there, and they would serve me wine before I was 21. I'm not saying they're going to serve you underage heathens.
You know where I went for that? It was El Coyote.
Oh yeah.
Dude, they card now, but back like in the 90s
Oh, yeah,
and
dude.
early 2000s, if you just looked like you were near 21 and you went in with your 21 and over friends, they just gave you margaritas. It was great.
And then I'll
El
tell you
Coyote.
another favorite place of mine in Seattle is Spud. Spud Fish and Chips. If you like fish and chips, Spud Fish and Chips is like the greatest fish and chips ever. There's multiple Spud locations, but there's really only one to go to. Go to Spud at Alki. Get your fish and chips wrapped. You go out to the beach, even if it's 30 degrees below zero. You sit on the beach and you eat your fish and chips on a log. And the seagulls are the most vicious.
Oh, I was just thinking, aren't birds?
They're going to come get you. They know, because everybody who brings the fish and chips to the beach, they're the most aggressive seagulls you'll ever meet.
There you go.
And it's also another great date place. Spud Fish and Chips, Alki.
All right.
You got to eat a bag of dicks. And when I say that, I mean that without in Seattle, Dick's Drive-In. And when I eat a bag of dicks, I get 3 cheeseburgers, 2 fries, and a chocolate shake.
There you go.
Dick's Drive-In, and there's multiple Dick's Drive-Ins. You can go to one on 45th. I prefer. There's also Queen Anne Dick's, but go to Capitol Hill.
I'm glad you closed with that. All right. Isaac Martinez says, I'm so excited to watch Rental Family and Sisu 2 today at my local Harkins Theater. We got Harkins Love. Are you excited for either of those, Rob? Let me just say, Sisu was cool. It was really, but I watched the trailer for Sisu 2. It kind of feels like it jumped the shark. it's like these weird scenarios where it's just like basically it's just for gore and crazy kills now.
Yeah,
And like
they've leaned into the unreality of it all.
like he's just driving with like airplane props on his truck, and he knows that if he hits his brakes, it'll go flying at the perfect time when this perfect scenario happens that would be perfect for. Like, there's too many situations where it's like, well, I'm glad he prepared for that unlikely scenario.
Yeah. Look, I love the first film a lot, and the trailers for this. I mean, I laughed out loud at the trailers, but you know, my beloved word verisimilitude does not look like it comes into play in the second
No.
film.
I
Although
am
I do want to
looking,
see it.
yeah, I am looking forward to the family friendly. What did I compare it to? The Rental Family. The Bill Murray movie where he goes to Japan. Why am I going to
Lost
in Translation? The family friendly Lost in Translation.
A friend of mine saw it last night. My friend Alvaro saw it last night and said it was great.
Dude, I love Brendan Fraser, and I definitely want to see this. I want to see that movie with Will Arnett, where he's kind of getting into stand-up comedy after a divorce too. And these are kind of movies that like they're not going to do great, but look, another reason I go to cinema for these movies too, because it's not just for the spectacle. It's the fact that you can be in a quiet room and see this like very personal movie. Something like Perfect Days. You know what I mean? Like you're not going to get the same experience watching that in your living room.
No.
So
God, I love Perfect Days. What a great movie.
Yep. Mr. Hank Dunn. Capitalism is the worst. All right. WB has only been under discovery for 3 years. It should be illegal to sell already unless they went bankrupt. But I don't think that has to do with capitalism versus any other. Like if something's not doing well and you've got to break ties with it, what are you supposed to do? Just go out of business? So then if it goes bankrupt, then all those people lose their jobs like in one fell swoop?
Yeah. I mean, I don't, capitalism is a great motivator for business innovation and advancement and technology. I mean, the idea that, look, communism and socialism from a business perspective are not great. They're not great motivators of innovation, and they're not great motivators of people.
To be clear, there need to be guidelines to protect the population. Like otherwise, corporations will just rape and pillage everything.
Oh, I agree. Well, the problem is we've allowed the guardrails have been removed.
Humans have to be more important than a corporation. So
yeah,
obviously. So I don't want to be like, oh, just let free market willing take everything, but like obviously.
No, you have to regulate free markets. That's the important thing, but we apparently have decided to not do that.
Right. Matan says it in a two-parter. Where are we? Is there any Nintendo IPs that their popularity will make them more likely to be a TV series? Fire Emblem could be a nice Game of Thrones type show on HBO or FX. And going by Smash, it is one of the Nintendo's favorite IPs. I think Super Smash Brothers. And a Fire Emblem show could be a great opportunity to give the spotlight for European-born Asian actors. I'm sure any of those things could be developed well, like even like an Amazon or something if they were to. I don't know if Nintendo necessarily owns it. I can't remember who owns it, but I think a Star Fox series.
You know
really
what? It's
cool.
funny you say that. It's Star Fox. Isn't Metroid? Is Metroid?
Yeah.
Metroid and Star Fox could be the beginning of a cosmic universe.
Yes.
I mean, I love Star Fox. I love Metroid.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that you've got your Super Mario universe, but if you went cosmic and then you did a Star Fox movie and a Metroid movie and put them in the same universe.
Yep.
I think
like it wouldn't even look nowadays. You can't even say, well, that'd be ridiculous. Well, everyone look at Rocket Raccoon and how cool he is.
Well, I mean, or Jackson from the old Marvel comics, Star Wars comics. I mean, I would love to see something like that. I mean, look, I wouldn't say Metroid could be its own universe, but Star Fox as well. But Star Fox could be a really interesting. I mean, if you had it more skewing more adult, not what I mean that's like more like Zootopia. I could see Star Fox being a cosmic Zootopia kind of a film because I love the design of Zootopia, and it appeals. It would have more of a wide appeal. You don't make it just for kids,
right?
So,
we got Harv's K. Hey Rob, Last Samurai Standing on Netflix should be up your alley. Samurai
Bro.
ninjas in a Squid Game amazing race contest to the death during the Meiji era.
Dude. So my friend Dieter Bastian, who I do Let's Get Physical Media with, by the way, we have our fifth anniversary show this week on Sunday. If you like physical media or want to see two idiots talking about physical media, tune in to Let's Get Physical Media for our 5th anniversary show this Sunday at 11 Pacific. That show, Dieter told me to watch that show. It was not on my radar. Bruh.
Last Samurai Standing.
You talk about putting everything little Bobby here loves in one show. Got it.
Just been added to my... We got live footage of Jonathan adding something to his Netflix queue. Just in. So there you go. So I'm going to check that out. Sounds like it's really cool. Perry. I watched The Hills Run Red as a kid, and it scared the crap out of me. So cool to find out you produced it. What's the story behind the film, and was a sequel ever planned after the pregnancy ending?
Ooh, that's a great, great. Okay, first of all, yes. So I produced a horror film for Warner Brothers called The Hills Run Red, and it was based on an original script that was brought to my company, my production company, Ludovico Technique, by a company in New York called Fever Dreams. And they said, you can do anything you want with it. We were originally going to make it for $350,000. And I got my friend Dave Scow, who wrote the movie The Crow, the original, with John Shirley, but he wrote The Crow, to rewrite the script they gave us. And to show that I could produce and director, my good buddy Dave Parker, who we're on Midnight Metal tomorrow night with the road manager for Guns N' Roses, also on my channel. Dave Parker directed a coming attraction. We made a trailer for it. And we had a new draft of the script, and we had a trailer. And I went into Warner Premiere to Diane Nelson's office, who later became the president of DC. And we presented this trailer we made and our Dave Scow script. And they decided they liked it enough to green light it. So it became part of Joel Silver's company, Dark Castle Entertainment. They were making these lower budget movies for Warner Premiere that were going to go direct to video. And the first one they made was Return to House on Haunted Hill, and ours was the second one they made, and then they scrapped the program. So that's how the movie got made. And we went to Bulgaria, and I was in Bulgaria the summer of 2008, and that's when we made The Hills Run Red. And we always thought we would get to do a sequel. And there were many, like I wanted to do a sequel called The River Runs Black. That would have been the story of Alexa, the girl. And then, of course, you have Serena's baby that would be the new baby face. And Janet Montgomery became a pretty great actress who gives birth in the movie. So I'm glad you like it. You can still find it. There's a great Blu-ray. It's out of print now, but we did it back in 2020 for Scream Factory. There's a Blu-ray that has over 10 hours of special features on it. And if you ever want to know how an indie horror film gets made, we made sure that was one of the most exhaustive physical media releases of all time. So if you can find the Scream Factory Hills Run Red Blu-ray, I highly recommend picking it up.
All right. We're going to hear from Hollow Lord now. Says, watch Death Lightning Bottle Netflix good. Now, I just kind of looked those words up on Netflix. There's Death by Lightning. Maybe they're referring to Death by Lightning. It says he rose from poverty to the presidency, but an assassin lurked in the shadows. This historical drama comes to us from the creators of Game of Thrones. Starring Michael Shannon, Matthew McFadden, Nick Offerman. Maybe he
is this done by the Benioff and Weiss? Weiss and Benioff?
Mike Makowski.
Oh.
So I don't know. It says from the... I'm a little confused on that. But anyway.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it has a great cast. I love... You know what? Boom. Lightning isn't striking in a bottle right now, or whatever the phrase is, because I just added that to my queue too. All right.
There you go.
Thank you, Hollow Lord. Jai CSC. Hi, all. Help me out. How do award voters, non-WGA, judge best screenplays? Surely rewrites, editing, direction, and movie can be quite different to what was written on paper. Well, if you're talking about the Academy Awards, the screenplay is voted on by that wing of the Academy voters.
Yeah. And they do get the original scripts. They do have access to those scripts.
Yeah.
But I think it's a combination, it's a combination of the two. I mean, the thing about the process of movie making is it's iterative. It changes as it goes along. And but I think, you know, you can tell in terms of screenplays, the Academy does have access to reading the screenplay and they can judge what got made. But I do think that there's no great movie that's been really made from a bad screenplay. So the greatest movies, the ones that are competing for the Oscars for Best Picture, it's probably a good bet that they did originate from good screenplays to begin with.
All right, we hear from, let's see, I kind of lost my place. Apologies, guys. Okay, yes, Wolf Motts. Hey, Rob, I wanted to say your passions for movies and comics have inspired me to no end. I'm actively working on 3 comics, one of which is a Spider-Man fan comic called Spider-Man Perks of Being a Wall Crawler. Then my
Great
2
title.
own ideas, Renuva Mills, P.I. and Annie Archie. Anyway, all this to, let's see if there's another one. Oh, say yours and John's passions and love of creativity are so encouraging. Help validate my own 23-year-old ambitions. Thank you guys so much.
Well, that's a great look. There's nothing better than to hear that from people. And I, you know, I feel that same way about on my own channel too, that hearing about people's own creativity is the greatest thing in the world, because, you know, I've always felt that as a fan of all this material, you know, we should continue that and create our own material. And not everybody, you know, can go out and make a Academy Award-winning feature film, but doing comic books is great. And the fact that you're cutting your teeth on doing a Spider-Man comic and sort of honing your craft is great. But that you're creating your own material is even better. And nowadays, with things like crowdfunding, you can take your material out and have the public, you can get it funded, you know, and you can go make it. My advice is don't give up and finish what you're doing and put it out there. You know, even if you have to put it out as what they call an ash can version, and take it to San Diego or pass it out at conventions, you know, or crowdfund the book, make it happen. And if nothing else, the process of creating something from nothing and taking it to fruition is reward in itself. You will learn so much that will help you on your journey. A lot of people try things, they want to do things, but they give up halfway because they figure, oh, I'm not going to make any money from this. Nobody makes any money from the first thing they did. Well, some people might, but
rarely though.
Rarely. You've got to stick with it, and don't let anyone tell you, oh, this sucks. I mean, nobody ever made something that was fantastic unless you're Orson Welles and your first movie was Citizen Kane, which is an outlier. Do what you're doing. It sounds like what you're doing is great, and develop your own material, you know, and get people's input, see what people like, because you're making it for an audience. And but don't be discouraged. Just keep going. That's really cool what you're doing. Congratulations.
Yeah. Pablo says, Rob, what were your thoughts on Better Call Saul?
You know what? The thing is, you kind of know where it's going to, unlike Breaking Bad, where you didn't know where it was going to wind up. I thought Better Call Saul in some ways was even better than Breaking Bad. You know, I didn't watch all of Better Call Saul until fairly recently. And I kind of, the same thing with Breaking Bad. I watched a few episodes of the first season. I didn't see any of Breaking Bad after that until I bought the oil drum, the 50-gallon oil drum of the entire series.
So you just went for it.
Yeah, I went for it and watched binge the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Same thing with Better Call Saul. People always make fun of using the word triumph, but it really was. I mean, Vince Gilligan created a masterful a look at 2 different characters. What a great series. And I think Pluribus, very different, but again, the level of storytelling that he's bringing to the medium, incredible.
All right.
And Bob Odenkirk, man, that guy. No, what an actor. The cast of Better Call Saul, both shows, so good.
Yep. We hear from Lori Howard with a $20 tip. Thank you so much.
Wow.
Rob, what is your thoughts on Teyana Taylor acting abilities after seeing One Battle After Another? She's been in the industry since her teens, but this is her big movie. Have you seen One Battle After Another yet?
I finally saw One Battle After Another. First of all, I really loved One Battle. I didn't know. I thought what happened to Sean Penn in that movie, I was not expecting.
Nothing about Sean Penn I expected from the trailer.
No.
Nothing.
I mean, that was, you know, you read review. I'll tell you something. You can read as many reviews as you want.
Yeah.
nothing is like actually finally sitting down and watching a movie. It doesn't matter how many reviews you read or how many people. And lately I've gotten to the point where I've been turned off by reviews and haven't read things. But you got to go. But she's incredible. I didn't know that she'd been in the industry but you know what? Paul Thomas Anderson is one of the great. His ensemble casts have always been all the way back to his first movie. Well, it was changed called Hard Eight with Philip Seymour Hoffman. All of his casts are incredible. The cast for Boogie Nights. I mean, look at all the actors. Don Cheadle is in Boogie Nights. You forget that Don Cheadle's in there. His casts are incredible, and she was great in the movie.
Yeah.
And I didn't know much about her, to be honest. I've got to go back and look for more of her work. That's clearly one of the best movies that's come out this year. So,
all right. We got our final four here. So Spencer Smothers says, fans of Project Hail Mary should check out Winter World by A.G. Riddle. Would love to see this book as a series. Rob would absolutely love Winter World. From A.G. Riddle.
I don't know that book, but if it's like Project Hail Mary, yes. Project Hail Mary was a one-sitting book for me.
Wow. Isn't it amazing? Because you're, like, I love to read, but you're a prolific reader. That there could still be, like, books like this that you've never heard of. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much stuff, especially new stuff. I used to be somebody that read the New York Times book review every week, and I just don't. I mean, I liked getting the paper for that reason.
Yeah.
And I just don't keep up with it as much as I used to. But I try and read, like Andy Weir because of The Martian, Artemis, and then when Project Hail Mary came out, there were so many people telling me about it. I finally got it, and I opened that book. That book is the equivalent of a mountain of Tony Montana Scarface cocaine. You can't get it in your nose fast enough.
It's on my list. Excuse me. I go back and forth from, like, do I do the audiobook or do I just get the book? Because sometimes I just love just having the book. Because I feel like it's still in my own head or whatever. The audiobooks are great too, though. But the problem with audiobooks is sometimes I zone and my mind starts to go.
Yeah.
But when I'm reading, I'm in it. I'm not,
Yeah, I still like books.
I'm getting through the Silo series.
Oh yeah, that's great.
And then I'll probably read Project Hail Mary.
I didn't read all the books in that series, but I have a compilation book of like 3 of the books, first 3 books, which I really liked. I mean, I read those actually not, I don't know, 15 years ago or something. I have it here somewhere.
We got, check this out. Says, no out of theater review for Sisu 2. Shame, John. Well, I think John's a little busy because he's driving to Orlando right now. So,
traveling the highways and byways of the land.
Part of the reason why it's the Jonathan and Rob show today, because he's just trying to make time to get to Orlando for the next meetup. Jada says, have you watched the Sisu movies? Part 1, not part 2.
Yeah,
part 2 doesn't interest me as much.
I love part 1. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
But yeah, part 2 is the trailer. I was like, come on. It was just.
Yeah, it just kind of jumped the shark for me. Okay, this is our final one. It's a 3-parter, $30 altogether. So thank you, RSM, for your support. And they go on to say, the delay of Lanterns might not be due to quality or HBO Max. It is possible the development of Man of Tomorrow resulted in creative ideas that resulted in the delay of Lanterns and added Supergirl. Reshoots beyond pre-planned because Gunn discovered a better organic through line, potentially starting with Small Seeds and Supergirl, building much more in Lanterns and paying off in Man of Tomorrow. Wouldn't this also work as a stronger marketing or at least a higher level excitement for Man of Tomorrow? This seems more plausible than Lanterns needing more polish. I think too that I'm kind of in the same boat where I think the story beats are just different. And look, if you had to watch, number one, I don't think you're going to ever need homework for the DCU. But let's just say if it made more sense to watch Lanterns before, they wouldn't have ever moved it. The fact that they moved it means that it's not that necessary to see it beforehand. And it's very likely, like RSM brings out, that the story beats have changed. And that now it makes more sense post Supergirl.
I totally agree. I think everything you just said is 100% probably accurate, and I think that's a good thing, you know. And also that because they're in production on Clayface, because Supergirl's in post, and if they can allow themselves, you know, we always know that the Marvel movies, these superhero movies, have reshoots built into them. So if you want to make certain changes or add things, like we've heard that David Cornsweet they added scenes of him into Supergirl, it wouldn't surprise me, because making the universe more cohesive is what they want. Yeah.
Right.
So
well, all right, guys. That's it. That's our show today. That's our Friday. That's our week. You'll probably hear. I can't make promises because I don't know where John will be on the road, but the plan is to have him on the show Monday. I'm sure he will be. Other than that, any thing you wanna plug or anything there, Rob?
Well, yeah, you know, if people like audio dramas, you can go. I made an audio drama that I'm very proud of, that Michael Rosenbaum is in, that David Strathairn is in, that Anthony LaPaglia is in, that Katie Sackhoff is in. And it's called True Noir, The Assassination of Anton Cermak. It's historical. It takes place in the 1930s. And Michael Rosenbaum, our favorite Lex Luthor, plays Detective Nathan Heller. And it's set during the time of Al Capone and Frank Nitti. And Max Allan Collins, who wrote the graphic novel that Road to Perdition is based on, wrote the script. And you can get it at truenoir.co. And I directed, produced, and edited it.
Dude, you did a huge amount of work on that. Very impressive.
A year's worth of work. And also a new horror movie, if you like The Hills Run Red, a new horror movie I produced called White Devils. You can currently find online. You can get it. We have a special preview for people to sort of generate word of mouth. I'd love it if you watched it and reviewed it. It's at whitedevilsthemovie.com. And it's based on a South African playwright's play, Reza DeWitt. She died of cancer in 2012. But somebody described it as Waiting for Godot meets The Devil's Rejects. Which I said, I'll take it.
There you go. And you know what I happen to be drinking in this? Speaking of True Noir, it was the True Noir branded. I'm looking backwards
the coffee
here. True Noir branded coffee today, Rob. So
nice. Well, there you go. Thank you. I hope you're enjoying it. Yes, that there you go. That comes from Hansa Coffee out of Chicago.
Nice. All right. Well, we'll leave it there, guys. So you know what? Thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking with us two weirdos talking about movies and TV and all sorts of things, theater, business, and beyond. And we'll see you guys next week. And you know what? See you guys.